it up, let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel. Heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe when we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell. Can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the badge, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell. Can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell.
All right, then. How about it? Did it work? Did that work? If you're in the chat room this morning, I need to know if that worked out the way it was supposed to. We should be live. We should be rocking and rolling. It is, 4 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock on this Tuesday morning, the 6th morning of the first month in the year of our Lord 2026. And I solved the problem, I think. So I'm counting on chatters to tell me, chat room members, if you are in at this early hour, did the music and the video play okay? Because I solved the problem of music rights. Yeah. So love it. I am Roz. Yes. Hit the like. Yes. CAD 0826 said yes. Everything operational says the politically incorrect mechanic. Beautiful. Thank you guys, everybody. I solved the problem. Good morning. Yesterday, I was talking about this a little bit, and I don't want to, overdo it and dwell on it too much, but it was like, annoying to me because being used to doing, full entertainment radio for 28 years, it was driving me nuts that the only music I could give you on the podcast, on this live stream, was the AI stuff that comes on the Restream platform that I use to push this out to everybody. And because the first day I tried to play an actual song, I don't remember which one it was. Somebody who's experienced with this, Brian, my buddy Brian, said, "Whoa, you're going to get struck on YouTube." And by the way, are we pushing out to YouTube this morning? I think we're pushing out to YouTube and X, as well as, of course, right here in the hub. The home base is Rumble. And we'll probably push out for about another half hour. If you're watching early here on YouTube or on X, you only got about 30 minutes or so, because I'm going to cut the feed to those places because I want everybody to matriculate and migrate into Rumble so that you can be a part of the chat and so that you can hit the thumbs up button, so you can hit the follow button and all those other things that give us that lift we need to get the algorithmic push out to other people who don't know we're here. So anyway, my buddy Brian was telling me when you push that out, or I'm sorry, when you play an actual song, a normal song that you might hear on the radio that, of course, is copywritten but is allowed to be used on the radio, you can't use it on a podcast, like a private podcast like this, without getting struck by YouTube, getting a strike, because it's considered to be a violation of community rules using their stuff. And I said, well, what's up with the music that I play here? And I'll give you a little taste here just so you can kind of get a feel for what I've been doing. Normally, what I've been doing on the way into the show is I've got a list of music genres here on the platform that are available, and apparently these are all okay. There's love songs, pop songs, R&B songs, hip hop songs, chill hop songs, down tempo songs. Here, I'll just click R&B for the hell of it, and you should be able. Let me turn it up a little bit. okay, it's just a generic beat, right? Excuse me. It's just a generic beat that was using as background music, just for everybody to kind of get a little vibe going, I guess, rather than just sitting. Because you know what it was is I had been playing that B-roll video of just clips of the show, of me talking and my guest talking, and I've been playing it, and I would see people coming into the chat every day going, I don't hear anything. Well, you weren't supposed to. It was just silent. So I started to play this R&B or one of these other genres from the platform just to give you a little vibe, right? All right, I'll kill it now. And so I asked my guy, Brian, I said, why are those okay, but not the other songs? And then, he told me, and I looked, and sure enough, all of those vibes that I just told you about, the R&B and everything else, are AI generated. And if they're AI generated, there's no problem. There's no, copyright. It's not like it's an artist. It's not like a musical artist that has a copyright or anything. He said, so, you're good. You can play those. So you know what I did last night? Excuse me. Early morning. This 7:00 stuff is for the birds. Literally. Because I'm waking up and getting myself ready to go here, but I'm not ready to go here yet, if you understand. Just got a lot of frogs in the throat, that sort of thing. But anyway, so last night, what I did is I went ahead and I created a song. I found an AI program, and this is kind of terrifying because, again, I'm low-key afraid of what AI is becoming, has already become, and it's in its infancy. AI really, and ChatGPT just exploded in the last, 2, 3, 4 years. And it is so common now. So many people are using it. Kids are using it to cheat on their college exams, their papers that they have to write, research papers. Hell, lawyers are using AI to write arguments for the cases that they're trying. I know people in professional circles, I won't say which kind. Yeah, I will. Courts, I will tell you, not just the lawyers. I'm talking about court employees who are supposed to be filing reports, rather than using their brains and tapping out their information. They're plugging in a couple of key pieces of the information and then saying, write the report, AI, and they're turning them into supervisors and so forth. And they're very obviously and clearly AI written, and it's not good. I'm a little worried about it. It's killing. I don't know. I'm chasing a squirrel again here in the early going. It's killing our own human. I won't say it's killing our intellect. It's killing our creativity, and it's killing our agency. It's almost like it's taking away. And then we do have our choice about whether we use it or not. But people get addicted to it. And it's killing, like I said, our own ability to think for ourselves and to think and to problem solve. It's like, got a problem, AI will solve it. That's in its infancy. Give this 5 years. What do you think it looks like? Or I'll just give it 4 more and we'll go to 2030. I mean, are we building Skynet right now? If you know, you know. But if it feels like we're building Skynet, which of course was the AI, the computer intelligence that ended up trying to take over humanity in the Terminator, 1984, believe it or not. Holy crap, 42 years since the Terminator. That's freaky to me. Anyway, we're building Skynet right now is what it feels like. So I'm low key, terrified of AI, but I also understand that it's got its purposes and it's got its use, and we have to be very careful so that we don't kind of fall into a trap where instead of being used, it is abused. Because if we abuse it, it is going to be to our detriment. It's going to be to our detriment, like I said, as functioning, thinking, creative, processing, problem-solving people. But I solved my problem with AI last night. I found a chat bot or whatever I guess we're calling these AI programs, but I found one, not ChatGPT or Grok or any of the more common ones. What I did, though, I actually went into Grok. And if you ever want to try this for yourself, I went into Grok and I said, hey, can you, or are there other bots or however I phrased it, programs like you that can generate music? Which I knew it could, because obviously I was playing that R&B stuff, to come in. And so it said yes, and it gave me a list of some of them. Some of them were pay, and some of them were free, and some of them were, so there were a lot of them. There were a lot of different options. So I picked one of them, and I tried it, and I didn't really like the thing it put together. But so I went to another one, and what it does is it allowed you to just describe the kind of song you want to create. What genre? Is it going to be R&B? Is it going to be a love song? Is it going to be hip hop? Is it going to be rock? Is it going to be country? Is it going to be whatever? And then tell it what you want the song to be about. You can either put in your own lyrics and AI will sing those lyrics in whatever style or genre you want, or you can just describe the kind of song you want and it'll write the lyrics. And lo and behold, I'm trying to remember my search parameters or my instructions to it, but I said something like hard driving country song with plenty of power and plenty of patriotism, pro-America, anti-woke, pro-patriot, or something like that. Those are all the keys that I gave it. And in, I don't know, 3 minutes, okay, no problem, grinding away. Now, I had to buy the actual song to download, which I didn't want to do. But when it was done grinding and processing and creating it, I listened to it. I just recorded it on my screen. I said, done. It's made by AI. So apparently it's for use. It's fair use. It falls under fair use. And so what I did is last night, I created that song by the way I just described, and I put it to the B-roll video that you sometimes see while you're waiting to get into this show every day. And away we go. And I got to tell you, if this popped on, and let me rephrase, I'll ask you, because I'm going to play it again here in 1 second. If this song popped on your radio in the car, especially if you listen to country music, and I generally don't. I like some country music. I mean, I like Tim McGraw, and I like Jason Aldean, and I like, some of Morgan Wallen, whatever. I love Chris Stapleton. Generally speaking, I'm not a country fan first and foremost. I like classic rock and 80s and blah, blah, blah. But if you were bouncing around wherever you drive and the radio came on, or you turn on the radio and this song came on, would you dig it? Because I got to tell you, I was listening to it and it sounded a little bit like who's the guy on American Idol, the country guy? Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan, I think it is, right? I think it is. Anyway. That's the voice, that's the vocal quality I got from this, but it's completely computer generated. It is AI. So I'm going to play this. It's about 1.5 minutes long. It's what you maybe were listening to as you were waiting to get into the room this morning and for the show to start. But this is an AI generated song based on my prompts, the type of music I wanted, the genre, that it's going to be a power country song, not a, twangy, old fashioned country song. It's going to be modern country. And this is what AI created, and now I'm going to use it as my own because, again, it's supposedly fair use. So watch it again. If you just tuned in to the program, if you just logged in, I guess I should say, to the live stream, this is to be the first time you're hearing it. For everybody else who was waiting to get in when the show started at 7:02, you've heard it, but here we go.
Crank it up. Let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel. Heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe when we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell. Can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down. We just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell.
It's longer, but because it's about a 2-minute 52-second song, but the platform only allowed me to upload the first 120 seconds for that to be able to play as a placeholder and as a warm up basically before you come on. But it's called Red, White, and Raise Hell. It was based on the description I gave, the type of country music I wanted, the type of vibe, and the whole 9 yards. And I got to tell you, I was jamming to it. I was bopping to it. It was real. I like it. I do. And I hate that I like it because it's AI and AI is going to be, it's Skynet. It's being built, but that freaking absolutely rocked. And I got to tell you, I don't know why more people don't do this. But now I know. Now I've got my solution. I can't get sued. I can't get a strike. I can't get demonetized or anything else for using a song by some other artist that apparently has copyrights to it because this was made by AI. And I told it what to make and it made it. And I thought it was freaking pretty good. Red, White, and Raise Hell. And you heard the lyrics. You heard the stuff. Give me an opinion because I might have to do more of this. It's kind of freaky. Do you trust AI? I should put that up there on an on-screen graphic here. I love that we can kind of do this stuff in real time because do you use and like AI? Question mark. Or are you terrified of it? All right, I'm going to put it up there, and hopefully people in the chat will be able to answer that. Let's show it real quick here. There it is. Do you use and like AI, or are you terrified of it? Are we building Skynet? Are we building the end of mankind? Are we at least building the end of human creativity? Because we are all reliant on that, on that for certain things. I'm low key worried about it. Like I said, I'm going to use it for a few things like making some songs. And obviously I've been putting together some pretty damn cool graphics, actually, as you will notice here. This is what I got coming on this week. I had this one kind of put up there before the show started too, just for you to see. I told AI to create a graphic showing all of the guests who are going to be on the program this week. I did this yesterday after Tom Z was on yesterday. So Tom Z didn't make this Mount Rushmore cut up there. Sorry, Tom. But Peter Kirsanow, who's going to be on with us today in about 45 minutes. Tomorrow, Congressman Jim Jordan will be on. Thursday, former congressional candidate and huge conservative influencer J.R. Majewski is going to join us. Friday, we got a double hit. We've got Congressman Max Miller. He'll be with me in the 7 o'clock hour at about 7:30. And then at 8 o'clock, we get introduced to Casey Putch. Casey Putch is the Republican. He's called Casey the Car Guy. He's got a huge following on YouTube, not for politics, but for cars. He apparently is a whiz, and not just at being a mechanic like the politically incorrect mechanic, but he designs cars and apparently designed an engine that can drive from New York to LA on one single tank of fuel. It's something the car makers or that the government would never allow to be made, apparently. That's what he went to Maine for, to talk to Tucker Carlson about, by the way. We're going to talk all about that with him on Friday, but I was talking with Tom Z yesterday about this because Casey Putch is now this, a new addition to the GOP gubernatorial race. And he is constantly taking Vivek Ramaswamy down. He's attacking and criticizing and alleging and so on and so forth. And he's got a lot of, grassroots conservative support in some circles. So I said, we got to meet him. We got to talk to him. So he'll be on with me on Friday. But you can see that lineup there. We're getting great guests. Last week, of course, we had Representative Josh Representative Josh Williams. We had Senator Bernie Moreno. We're getting some really, really good people on this podcast. For being a brand new startup podcast that is still in its infancy, we're getting some really big names here that are going to push this out and make it grow really, really quickly. But you've got to help me on that too. You got to help me on that. Not only by watching and liking and following every day, but again, when the show ends, it automatically kind of propagates and it's added to the library, to the channel library there. When you see it, right click it, copy the link to it, and send it to your friends. Send it to your Patriot friends online, on email, on text, or whatever. It's just that simple. But copy it and send it out to other people. Let them experience the brilliance of Peter Kirsanow if they've never heard Peter, who's going to be on with us a little bit later in the show. So yeah, there's a little question. Let me hop into the chat for just a moment here before I give you some of today's top news and top audio. I want to find out if people are down with the AI thing, and particularly the song. And don't mess up with me now here. Okay, but in particularly that song. CMG says afraid of AI and what it's doing to our intellect. Bingo. That's exactly what I said. Now, I don't have songwriting intellect. And if I did have that kind of intellect, I might be able to write. I can write the lyrics to some songs, usually parody. I've done a lot of parody songs in radio over the course of years. I had some people who can sing because I can't sing to save my life. If somebody told me to sing on key or you're about to be guillotined, I'd say put the basket down. Catch my head, man, because I can't sing a lick. So I don't have that talent. I can write some lyrics, but I could never write music and I could never perform music. So from that aspect, or from that angle, it's got some functionality. It's got some, I used it last night to create a song to play to open this show. And it's pretty good. That's not killing my intellect, but I agree with you, as I was saying before. It's going to kill human intellect, human creativity, human problem solving capability, because if you can't figure it out yourself after 2 or 3 seconds of thinking, look it up. It's kind of like what Google did. And I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo, and even that is changing too. But whatever search engine you use, I'll just look it up. Now AI makes it even easier. It's kind of the way with when Amazon came out, with the Alexa and the other, what are we calling those? Home assistant aids, or whatever you say. Hey, Siri, or hey, Alexa, or my phone going to go off because I said Siri. Hey, whatever your little assistant is there, how many cups in a quart, or whatever, when you're cooking. People do that all the time. I've done that. But you just look crap up, or ask it to look it up for you, and you don't even have to, be thinking about it. That's how it kills our intellect. That's how it kills our problem solving. It's how it kills our, I don't know, like I said, our thought processes. Rum DC says AI will make us all slaves eventually. So he believes, or he or she, I don't know who Rum DMC is, or Rum DC is. But yeah, so you believe Skynet is being built right now before our very eyes. Jomiza 3, I would enjoy the song more if I was sitting in seat 7A getting drunk on a plane. Yo Jimbo says AI reference sourcing is great. I don't trust it for anything else. B Butts says I use AI. I think it can be good, but it can also be used for nefarious reasons. Yeah, it absolutely can and is. Hate to say, but I do use AI. Great for travel planning and capsule wardrobes and ideas for remodeling the home. Take a pic of a wall, let it show you what you will, let it know the look you want and ideas. Okay, I'm okay with that too. If you don't have a creative, artistic eye, maybe, and you're looking for ideas, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with using it for that. I don't think, see, what I have a problem with AI for, and I think a lot of people do and should, is things that you can do on your own. You have an ability to do, but you're too damned lazy to do. Like I said, writing a paper for school, writing a report for your job, lawyers writing opening arguments and closing arguments for trials. if you have a talent to do those things, and you should if you're in those jobs, and you choose to let AI do them for you, that's a problem. But if you can't sing, but you ask AI to generate a song like I did, that's different. If you don't have an artistic bone in your body and or an eye for interior design, and you tell it, here's the wall, here's the room, what are some options? And it's got some pictures and things you can slap up there and say you could do this, this, this. You don't have that talent. I think that's where it's okay. It's acceptable. If you use AI, in my view, to substitute for your own talents, your own thoughts, your own wisdom, your own whatever, you're doing it wrong, and we're all going to be in serious trouble. If you use it to fill the gaps in your own talent, bank, if you will, if you use it for something like that, that's a different story, in my view. Great points there. SRL said that song made me picture eagles flying against the backdrop of an American flag. I'll tell you what, I plan to do that. What I did is I told you I just made that song last night on AI, and I wish I remember which program I used. I just made that last night, and as I listened to it, because I already had the B-roll of the show playing, rolling anyway, so I just put it underneath that of just the different guests that we've had on, which is still kind of cool. But in my head too, I thought to myself, I need to create a montage of videos of eagles flying and of Trump raising his fist and Ronald Reagan tearing down this wall and, Abraham Lincoln. We don't have video of him, unfortunately, but you understand my point. I think I'm going to do like a political video / photograph montage or whatever, and put that song behind it and maybe use that as the show open as time goes on. When I get more time, I may do something like that. So I'm kind of with you. It's a great idea. B-Butts, I'm old enough to remember the Terminator movie and Skynet. I think many younger people have no idea. You're 1,000% right. That's kind of why I brought it up. I said, we're building Skynet, and if you know, you know. If you don't know, well, I'm sad to say we may find out the wrong way, in the wrong way. B. Morgan is in. Yo Jimbo Jansky is in. SRL is in. I'm just Tanya from Akron. Good morning, Tanya. Thank you for being in this morning as well. And everybody who's in. Don't forget, Sarah, my friend Sarah. I haven't seen Sarah in a while. Why can't you use President Reagan quotes? I think I can. That's something I'll have to take some time to build as well. Because I used to do that on the radio side. So thank you, Sarah. Okay. I'm going to move forward here. Obviously, we need to grow. That's the goal here. Continue to share this. So right-click the URL to the show either now and send it out to people and say, get on in here in the chat room, or do it after the show ends. Again, we want to try to steer people to Rumble so that we are not kind of segregated. And we got some people watching on YouTube, some on X, some on Facebook, and so forth. We want to try to bring everybody together here because that's where the ideas really flow. So tell people to come on over to Rumble and join us, please. That is exactly how this whole thing grows. Okay. Having said all of that, he's apparently the walls have closed in on Tim. Yeah, that was a terrible pun, but I did it anyway. I actually wrote it this morning on the tees. But Tim Walz is making a run for it. Tim Walz, who knows that the walls literally are closing in. Forget about the metaphor and forget about the double entendre. But Tim Walz knows full well that he is in some serious trouble. And he's probably not going to survive the full investigation that is coming when it comes to the Somali daycare fraud, the Medicaid fraud, the home healthcare fraud, the transportation fraud, the Somali fraud that is owning and dominating the state of Minnesota. So Tim Walz said, "Yeah, I'm out of here." He didn't resign, but Tampon Tim Walz did say he is not running for re-election, and of course, he tried to blame Donald Trump on the way out the door.
It was an extraordinarily difficult year for our state. And it ended on a particularly sour note. For the last several years, an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of this state's generosity. And even as we make progress in the fight against the fraudsters, we now see an organized group of political actors seeking to take advantage of a crisis. I don't want to mince words here. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and in St. Paul and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place. They want to poison our people against each other by attacking our neighbors. And ultimately, they want to take away much of what makes Minnesota the best place in the country to raise a family. They've already begun trying to withhold funds that were meant to help families afford child care. And they have no intention of stopping there.
It's hard for me to look at this guy and not want to just literally punch my screen. To look at and listen to this failed vice presidential candidate, this failed governor, the piece of, supposed to be strictly speaking unfiltered, so I ought to be able to say it, but I just have a hard time sometimes letting the profanity fly after keeping it in check on the radio. Anytime there's a microphone in front of my face for 28 years, I couldn't swear. But this piece of shit, I can't take it. I'm sorry. I just can't. For him to immediately blame Trump for the fraud that he admitted has been going on for a very long time. An organized group, an organized effort to defraud Minnesotans, and not just Minnesotans, because guess where you get your state funds, Tim? You get them, Tampon Tim Walz, from me and from Ohioans and from Pennsylvanians and Kentuckians and Texans. It's federal money. It's a partnership between federal and state dollars that puts money out for Medicaid in your state and puts money out for home health and money out for transportation for people who are in need. And yes, for child care, for parents who need to work but can't afford, child care. You're stealing it from me, and you're going to stand up there and say it's been going on for a long time, but, this is all Trump's fault. Wait, what? You want to hear this piece of crap again? I don't, but...
It was an extraordinarily difficult year for our state, and it ended on a particularly sour note. For the last several years, an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of this state's generosity.
For the last several years, an organized group of criminals has conspired to take advantage of the state's generosity. First of all, it's not just the state, as I said before, you son of a bitch. It's our money too. It's my money too. Number one. Number two, you said that for years this has been going on and you called it an organized group of criminals. Why won't you say who it is? Why won't you say what it is? I know, because Ilhan Omar has got your nuts tucked neatly into her little turban. That's why. You're terrified of ticking off Ilhan Omar. You're terrified of ticking off the left-wing Somali supportive communities. That's why you turn around and acknowledge that, yeah, you've had this fraud being committed by an organized group of criminals, but you won't say who and you won't say what. And then you immediately turn around, instead of taking ownership of it, Governor Walz, Governor Tampon Tim, instead of taking ownership, you want to turn around and blame it on Trump? Wait, what? How does that work?
And even as we make progress in the fight against the fraudsters...
What progress? Show progress. What progress? When it comes to the daycare, yeah, I know some federal convictions have been obtained of some of these fraudsters in Minnesota and in other places, but that's not you. What do you mean you're making progress? What are you doing? You're the governor. You're the one who is responsible for all of this. Where's your state auditor? Where is your attorney general? How can this have been going on by your own tamponing words? How can this have been going on for years, according to you, your own words, and not have anything done about it? Nothing is being done about it. You're not changing anything. You're not making progress on it. You just want to blame Trump.
We now see an organized group of political actors seeking to take advantage of a crisis. I don't want to mince words here. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and in St. Paul and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place.
What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? How is Donald Trump making your state a colder, meaner place? What did Donald Trump do? How are people online making your state a colder, meaner place? Nick Shirley, a Minnesotan that you're always bragging about it, you're so proud of, exposed for all of us what you and your administration and your entire left-wing Democrat state government, the worst piece of crap state in the union. And I think you have surpassed California for that honor. I think you have surpassed New York. I think you have surpassed Colorado. I think you have surpassed Illinois. And sorry, Illinois, there's a lot of really good people there, but Chicago dominates your state, and Governor Pritzker is about as bad as Tampon Tim is. But you probably have passed them all. And you're sitting here and talking about how these people have made your state colder and meaner. Your state is stealing my goddamn money and all of ours. And you're going to turn around and blame our president and people like Nick Shirley who exposed it and forced you into self-exile since you are not running for re-election?
Each other by attacking our neighbors. And ultimately, they want to take away.
See, isn't this hilarious? This stupid son of a bitch at the beginning of this clip said that there's been an organized, a fraudulent criminal enterprise going on for a long time. Now he changes them from organized criminal fraud organization to our neighbors. They're attacking our neighbors. We don't want, this is the whole reason you have the fraud going on, because you won't hold your neighbors, the Somalis, who want nothing to do with this country and who ought to be goddamn ported right now. Now they're your neighbors. Every single one of them, and you've heard them. I've played these clips on the air of these. What did the one in here in our state say? The state representative from Somalia was on Somali state television, Somali national television, talking about how his goal is to get money from here and get it back there so that they can all go home and have a better Somalia. If you're living in this country and you are advocating for and you are working toward another country's best interest and not the United States' best interest, not only should you not be in office, you shouldn't be here. You should have your Somali ass kicked back down to your home country. That's what should happen here. I wonder if I can find that one in short order. I had it saved. Let me have a quick look-see here just to remind you what I'm talking about here. I'm sorry. I'm so over people like Tampon Tim Walz. I'm so over these excuse makers refusing to hold accountable the people who are responsible for all of this because they don't want the, look at this. Remember this one? This isn't the one obviously I was thinking of. I was looking for the Ohio Somali native who's a state representative here. But here's an example that I'm talking about. This is Ohio. This is not Minnesota. This is not Tampon Tim country. This is Mike No Spine country. This is Governor Mike No Spine. And this is going on under his nose. I don't know if there's audio for this or not. I guess there's not. All right. But so let me then just describe it. I thought there was audio to this. But this is an example of the type of graft that is plaguing the entire country right now. Over 40 daycare centers, I thought it was 45, my bad. Over 40 daycare centers in Columbus, all opened under the same defunct shell organization, the Somali Education and Resource Center. They've been identified as opening and beginning operations all on the exact same day, with a combined earnings of $14 million going to Somalia in 2024 alone. And as that video kind of continues there, you see the scroll. I'll put it back up here. You can see the scroll. See the names of these organizations? They're all in Columbus or the Columbus area. They all have the same parent organization, and they're all freaking scams. They are ripoffs. They are stealing our money. Over $14 million, again, just in 2024 alone. And people wonder why we're PO'd. And Tampon Tim won't even identify the Somali organizations, like I said, that are responsible for all of this. Let me finish this search here to see if I can go back and find our state representative from Columbus, who I did not know about, I'm ashamed to say, until last week. Here he is. There's our guy. Democratic State Representative Ismail Mohammed of Columbus caught on Somali national TV laying out his goal. The goal, elect more Somali officials across the U.S. so they can lobby for Somalia, not for the United States. He openly says our country is Somalia, and their mission is to form a united front to push Somali interests at the state and federal levels. This clip aired in August, a few months before this scandal exploded in Minnesota. So let me just give you this. Now, this is in Somali, so I'll turn the volume down. It doesn't matter, but I just want you to read the transcription in English on the screen, the little subtitles there. So here's Ismail Mohammed, Ohio State Representative. All right, I can't really make that low, apparently. This, all right, let me go back here because I'm worried about the volume, so let me go back and get it. Thank the Somali National TV and its management. There are two historic achievements that we have made in the state of Ohio, especially Columbus City. The first thing is Saeed Mohammed Abdullah, whatever, the father of Somalia. He is a mass killer, by the way, whose dignity and honor is unequated by other Somalis throughout history. I've pioneered the idea of commemorating him before I even got elected. If anybody is worthy enough to have street signs named after him, I'd say whatever, Syed. This is going really fast. Going really, really fast. To name a street in Columbus, Ohio after him, this guy, and we covered who that guy was. So obviously he's here to advance Somali interests and to heap praise upon Somalians, including individuals who were responsible for some really, really horrific crap. But let's continue. We have 20 or more different political representatives. And of course, Ilhan Omar is our representative at the federal level from the state of Minnesota. We have more than 10 representatives in the city and at the state level. Now, I'm assuming does he mean this city, Columbus? Are there 10 elected Somalis in the city and at the state level? Or was he still referring to Ilhan Omar in Minnesota? That's something we got to dig up. We have established a tight-knit organization. We are all in one room, a group chat. Our main objective is to discuss things that concern Somalia. This guy is an Ohio state lawmaker, an Ohio legislator, okay? And he meets with his Somali crew to discuss concerns of Somalia, not Ohio, not his district in Columbus, not the United States of America, but Somalia. It's our country. It's our people, he said. Our aim as a united front is to lobby for Somalia. That's the line. Screenshot this and send this directly to Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and say, begin deportation proceedings immediately. This guy and all of his group chat, find them all, who are here advocating for Somalia, not for the United States, should not be allowed to be guests in our country any longer. And if he's a citizen, if he was naturalized, denaturalize him and remove him not only from Columbus or from Columbus, from the Ohio State Legislature, and from the country, period. Helping waive Somalia's national debt. There it is, admitting he's stealing my goddamn money. Sorry. And yours. And sending it to Somalia. Helping to waive Somalia's national debt and their maritime crisis, whatever that is. I thought the only maritime crisis that Somalis knew anything about is their piracy. Their literal, I am the captain now piracy. What's their maritime crisis? Doesn't matter. He's saying we are working here in the United States to solve and waive Somalia's national debt. Anybody who lives in Columbus, Ohio, vote. We need your support. We want you to knock doors. Thank you very much. Yeah. Again, it's an old, tired, worn-out phrase, I guess, but the whole bingo card thing. I didn't have a Somali national in the state of Ohio legislature advocating for the theft of my money and yours. I didn't have that on the bingo card, man. I just didn't. This is all just exploding so quickly, and it should infuriate everybody. And Tim Walz, they're making our state a colder, darker place by picking on our neighbors, the neighbors that are committing the fraud and the theft of our money. President Trump had a response to this, and I think it's worth sharing. No, hold on, Tampon. We don't want to hear that part. We want to read President Trump's response to this. Where is he? Here he is. So President Trump said this on Truth Social in response to some of this nonsense. Let me pull it back up here for you. I want you to be able to see what I see when I'm able to make that happen. All right, let's swap that over again there. So yeah, President Trump went on Truth Social and said Minnesota's corrupt governor will possibly leave office before his term is up, but in any event will not be running again because he was caught red-handed along with Ilhan Omar. We got to change the name of that to blue-handed. Anyway, and others of his Somali friends stealing tens of billions of taxpayer dollars. I feel certain the facts will come out and they will reveal a seriously unscrupulous and rich group of slime balls. Nobody's got a vocabulary like our president's vocabulary. Governor Walz has destroyed the state of Minnesota, but others, like Governor Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul, have done, in my opinion, an even more dishonest and incompetent job. No one is above the law. Well, no one is supposed to be above the law, Mr. President, but we're finding out. And he's trying to blame you, by the way, for this. He's trying to blame you for all of this, Tampon Tim is. And by the way, and again, I'm ADDing all over the place here, that last one, he mentioned Governor Newsom, he mentioned Governor Pritzker, he mentioned at the end, Governor Kathy Hochul. This is another AI thing that I did last night. While I was making the song, creating the song, I created something else because I wanted people to, nobody's talking about this. I think I put it on my Instagram too. And if you're not following me on my Instagram page, I would like to ask why the hell you are not. It's a pretty decent follow. I put some good content up there. And in particular, usually road rants, Bob France road rants from the truck, but sometimes just pictures like this one. I'm going to see if I can share this with you on my Instagram page. Yeah, let me pull that up. And I'll see if let me swing it back over now so you can see it better if you're watching this morning. I'll try to enlarge this if I can. So yeah, so this is my Instagram page. And as you can see, we got about 23,000. That's what I need to have on the Rumble page, by the way. We need 23,000 Rumblers to be with us here. But 23, almost 24,000 followers on the Instagram page. And this is where we get a lot of great traction. This Ilhan Omar post that I did, the one of her arguing with Eddie Murphy is, 560 some thousand. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 560 some thousand views, 54,000 likes. This was the big kahuna. 143,000 likes. This road rant video was 2.6 million views in at the last time I checked. But this is the one I did last night. And because I want to know why no one is talking about Jihad Omar. I'm sorry, not Jihad Omar, Kathy Hochul. I brought this up yesterday in passing when we were talking about the newsletter. People don't know this. So let me share this picture with you that I put on Instagram last night that I had AI make for me because I wanted to do a side-by-side. I told AI, do a side-by-side of the World Trade Center towers burning on 9/11/2001 and the One World Trade building that was built to replace it today. And it did. And I said, I wanted to reflect the reality that on September 11th, 2001, Muslims destroyed those buildings and killed 3,000 Americans. 25 years later, here in 2026, we built that building in the place of those towers. And Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, decided to order that building lit up in Muslim green in honor of Muslim American Heritage Month. I talked about this yesterday, but only in passing, and I want to talk about it longer, and I'm going to ask Kirsten how to talk about it later too, because it ought to piss him off. It ought to piss you off, and I guarantee you it pisses off every 9/11 victims' family, survivors who were in the towers that day, family members of those who did not survive. What do you think of this? From Islamic terror 25 years ago to praising Islam in 2026. Governor Kathy Hochul ordered the World Trade Center, One World Trade, along with about 15 other landmarks in New York, all lit up in green in honor of Islam. 25 years. And I think that's symbolic. I don't think that's an accident. But what I wrote on the newsletter about this, in a move that just defies all reality, Kathy Hochul issued a proclamation declaring what is this? I'm sorry, I'm getting frustrated because I keep thinking about the horrific governors we have in this country. I keep thinking about Tampon Tim, and I keep thinking about Governor Gavin Newsom and of J.B. Pritzker and Polis in Colorado, and I mean there are so many of them, and Kathy Hochul and Mike DeWine. Kathy Hochul here is like putting all of her chips in and saying, "No, I'm going to win this hand as the worst piece of crap left-wing governor in the country. That's what I'm going to do here because this says she." And I read it, she issued a proclamation. Was this something that the Muslims even wanted? Is this something they were pushing for and saying, give us our month? Or did she invent this? It said she issued a proclamation declaring January as Muslim American Heritage Month and directed One World Trade to be illuminated in green in honor of Muslim American communities. 25 years after. Do you remember right after 9/11 what the mantra was? And it was, we all kind of said it. We all kind of agreed together that we would, quote unquote, never forget. That's what we said. Never forget. And here we are 25 years later, and not only have some people forgotten, they are celebrating. They're celebrating Islam in the city and at ground zero, celebrating Islam at a place where Islam killed and changed the country and killed 3,000 people. I don't know. Sometimes they just can't. Oh boy. I got Kirsanow in the room. Kirsanow is in the green room. He's going to be coming on with me in about 5 minutes, but I still don't see his smiling face and his shiny head. Last time we had him on, he had a camera problem. And he told me this time it's fixed. As a matter of fact, Pete told me his camera problem was fixed, and he was so confident of it. This is last night. Texted United States Civil Rights Commissioner Peter Kirsanow and said, "Hey, Pete, since you had a problem getting your camera to work last time you came on, what do you think? Do you think we can do a test? I can send you a link in a few minutes and we can check it out." This is last night. Kirsanow's response: "I'll be broadcasting from my office. Sorry, I've used it since then at least twice for my work teleconferences, and the camera worked fine. If it doesn't work this time, I'll make sure our IT folks get on it and get it straight before the next time, and I will do 500 push-ups as a penance." And I responded to him, we will need to get all 500 on video. And damn it, I will. If I can't see Kirsanow's face here, I'm going to get pissed. Seriously. Pete, I'm counting on you now. Get your IT guys on this and figure out what in the hell is going on here, because you're supposed to come on in about 4 minutes and talk about all of this stuff for us. Maduro, the Hilton hotels, and so much more. And if you don't know those stories, you're going to want to stick around for the second. And I'll give you a little teaser here as I hope and pray that Kirsanow is able to get an IT person to help him out here. But if you didn't know that part of the story, do you ever stay, if you travel a lot, do you stay at Hilton hotels? If you do, may I politely and respectfully ask you to stop? No more. No more. Hilton apparently hates law enforcement. Hilton apparently hates ICE, and they refuse to allow ICE and other federal agents to stay and take advantage of their services and their lodging. It's one of those things. It's just I don't know how it's going to go, because it's different than Bud Light. It's different than what happened with Target, because it's very unique to travelers, people who stay in hotels. But this is a big deal, and it hopefully will get the same kind of traction and the same treatment of these anti-ICE, anti-law enforcement, anti-American, these individuals that the Hilton hotels will pay that price. So Kirstenau's coming on with us one way or the other. I guess we're just going to have to look at his picture while he is on. I'm going to take a short time out here for the top of the hour. We're going to come back here, and I'm going to give you some of that AI music stuff that I told you about before, the kind that isn't going to get me in trouble. You like the R&B? Yeah, we'll stick with the R&B as we take this short time out, and hopefully come right back with Kirsten. All right, we are back. Hour number 2 of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered, ready to launch here. Thanks for being with us. That Kirstenau, brilliant guy, IQ of 180, can't get a camera to work. I don't know what to tell you. It's twice in a row now, and he can't figure it out for whatever reason. He needs an IT guy, and better yet, he needs all 500 of those freaking push-ups. That's what Kursanau needs, and we are going to make sure and hold him true to that. So let's bring him in from the audio side only and see if we can make this work. I told him last night, and I told him last week, actually, we needed to run a test, but he said, no, it'll be fine. PK, Peter Kursanau. At least the head on that symbol looks like his a little bit. Peter, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I see no hair on top of that circle, so it's kind of looks like you a little bit.
It looks better than me, actually. So,
well, you are doing push-ups, by the way. What the hell's wrong?
That's what I'm going to be doing anyway. So let's just do a few more.
Well, that's no fair. That's no punishment at all. If you're going to do penance for not having your camera working again, then it's got to be something meaningful. I got to think of something you don't do. What's that?
I'll add squats to it.
You like those too, though. Stuff that you do on a regular doesn't count. I got to make you do something you hate. That's what I got to make you. I got to make you watch like a Sean Penn movie or something.
Hey, I like that close range. He was good in close range. That was about 4 years ago, though.
I got to make you. I got to make you do a speech. You've got to write and recite in front of the camera a 5-minute speech supporting everything you love about Tim Walz. How about that?
I have to talk very slowly.
By the way, Pete, and for those just tuning in, Peter Kursanau is with us. Peter is United States Commissioner on Civil Rights, or he's on the Commission on Civil Rights. He should be the chair of that organization. And we've been talking every week, almost nonstop for the last 11 years on radio, and now on Strictly Speaking, Unfiltered here online. Thanks to everybody who's just tuning in for hour number 2. If you're here for Pete, you're here for a pretty good reason. Pete's always got a lot of great insights for us. But if you missed the first hour, I'm going to do a little, promotion here. Go back and watch the whole hour. Number one, the whole first hour as well after the show. Because as soon as this show ends and we lock out and end the live stream, the live stream is propagated to the channel, and it's right there with all of the other videos on Rumble. So just go back to it and click play, and it'll start from the start. And there's also a button or a link that you can click at the top of the Rumble channel that'll say play all videos, and it'll play this one and then the next one and the next one. They'll play them all in a continuous loop, which will really help with our time spent watching as far as the algorithms, because we need to grow the channel, obviously. And the way you do that is by liking. And by the way, speaking of that, sit tight for a moment, Pete. Where are I've got a bunch of people in the chat room. I got a bunch of people listening, but again, people are forgetting the cardinal rule. As soon as you log on to the program, either live or if you're watching this video or any of the others, after the fact, click the thumbs up button, because the algorithm that we are trying to beat that suppresses new shows until they can show early traction, it likes thumbs ups, and it likes follows, and it likes comments, and it likes time spent watching. When those things rise, it says, okay, we're satisfied now. And then it pushes it out to more people. And then instead of, 200 or 300 people watching a show, it's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. And instead of, 1,200 followers, it quickly becomes 2,200 followers, and then 22,000 followers, and you get it. So let's please get in here and use these tools to help the show grow. So Pete, you texted me while I was busy chastising you for your camera fail, and you said that's not me in the picture, and I'll put it up there again. You said it looks kind of like me. This is what AI thinks you look like, because as I was talking earlier about the song that I made with AI, I make promotional graphics using AI for each day's show as well. So I'll put, here's what AI thinks I look like based on a picture that I uploaded. Okay. And those are actual pictures, but when they regenerate them, some things aren't quite exactly right. But because I uploaded a picture of you that I got online, and you know what it was too, Pete? It was you were giving testimony or something before Congress.
Yeah, it looked familiar to me, but that's not me.
Yeah, it was a video, and I did a screenshot of it, and then I just I screenshot it, and I inputted that with my description that I wanted for the graphic to AI. And it took that picture, and I also fed it my logo, which is down here in the lower right. So I fed it the picture of you, and I fed it the logo, and I said, create a graphic promoting Commissioner Peter Kirsanow, Civil Rights Commissioner Peter Kirsanow, on tomorrow's show, which I should have said Tuesday because now it looks like tomorrow. But I said, we're going to talk about Maduro, we're going to talk about the Somali fraud problem, and we're going to talk about Hilton Hotels and their story. And so it generated, as you can see, the captions, my logo, and you. And that was the version of you that it gave. So I just find that kind of interesting. It's like synthetic Kirsanow, It's like a synthetic version of Kirsanow. And that's what it came up with. I thought it was pretty close, but you're right. It's not identical to you, just like the one isn't identical to me either. But it's that's
not
what
nearly as handsome.
Well, yeah, art can't imitate life that well. I mean, so anyway, Pete, are you down with AI?
I not really. I mean, we use it. In fact, I think we're having some kind of. I'm at the downward slope of my career, but I think we're having some kind of. We've already had a training on it, a couple of trainings. We've had ethics trainings on it. It's really amazing and powerful, especially for an old guy like me. And I use it. I use I use ChatGPT and Grok. I find they're very helpful, but I also know that you need to check them again, because although they're pretty accurate and extremely helpful, they send you in the right direction, but sometimes they get some of the details wrong. If you're an expert in a subject matter, for example, like labor law, and you plug in something that is moderately sophisticated, ask a question with respect to that, you get an answer that is like a C- law school answer. It's not always quite on point. And I'm not criticizing it because saying it's inadequate. It's probably because it needs more inputs, but you've got to be careful in how you use it.
Yeah, I agree on all of those fronts. Are you worried about what it's doing to human intellect?
Yes, absolutely. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and Bob, I'll tell you, it's becoming a pet peeve of mine, and I'm very concerned about it because what I see is, and I've seen it, I go into, or used to, I haven't done it in years, but I used to go into public schools to give speeches or to actually teach history and other courses. And it was a really rewarding endeavor. But what I saw, and no disrespect to the kids, because a lot of them were phenomenal, and some of them were really surprisingly phenomenal. But I do see a downward slope, a dumbing down of kids. The type of instruction they're getting is not as rigorous as I saw even, say, 15 years ago, and definitely during my tenure back in the Stone Age. But I'm concerned, and I understand that kids are using AI as a shortcut, especially in colleges. It's very easy to do. I understand that there are programs that will also supposedly smoke out. If you're a professor, you can smoke out whether or not AI has been used in whatever product that the student submits, an essay or something of that nature. Nonetheless, it's a extremely useful tool, but it's only a tool. I'm really concerned, and I'm sorry for bloviating like this, but I'm very concerned about it dumbing down our kids.
Yeah, no, I wanted you to bloviate on it because not only is it happening in the schools, as you're talking about, Pete, but it's happening in your profession, which you just mentioned. And from what I'm told, you've got attorneys writing their opening and closing arguments using AI.
Or not only that,
having AI write them for them. They're writing questions for depositions. They're literally just letting it do their thinking for them. And we're talking about the practice of law. And when it comes to the kids, Pete, the college thing you just talked about, there are programs that can sniff these things out and hold these kids accountable if they're cheating. But it's my understanding that, and I talked to one professor from an actual Northeast Ohio university that I know, who said, we don't use them. He said, very much because we don't want to find all of the kids who are cheating, because if we do, we've got to fail them, and we're going to end up having kids not getting credits, and we're going to and we're going to be held accountable. He said, in some ways, if I've got a class of 50 students in my hall, and 30 of them failed because I busted them cheating using AI and not doing their own work. I've only got 20 kids graduating my class. It's going to reflect poorly on me, on my ability, and so on and so forth. So a lot of them are just kind of accepting it as as something that I don't know how to phrase that, but accepting it as the inevitable.
Yeah, that's sad. It's a little bit frightening as well as concerning. Imagine an engineering student, for example, or an aerospace student doing that. I don't want to be on a plane where the engineers who manufactured it or designed it used AI, and AI hallucinated. And I will tell you also that recently there have been some court cases, disciplinary cases against attorneys who've used AI and chat or whatever they used, hallucinated cases that didn't exist. They put them into the brief saying it stands for such and such proposition, and then a law clerk for the judge or the judge himself would research and find out there's no such case.
That's unbelievable. That's incredible.
And
so
attorneys are heavily sanctioned for doing something like that, as you might expect. So this is a problem. Can you imagine? It's bad enough it's in the legal industry, because that's kind of a long-term type of thing. You can probably smoke it out, and you've got time to smoke it out. But when time is of the essence. If it's the medical profession, if it's engineering, that could be a major league problem. You're building a bridge, for example. I still remember about 15 years ago, a bridge that was being built in Florida, and it was being heralded because it was the first bridge engineered by an all-female crew, all-female engineers. And, everyone was celebrating about it, and the day it opened up, it collapsed. Not to say that that's what happens when females do it, but what's happening when you prioritize, things that don't matter over actually constructing the project or doing the job properly.
Yeah, well, you know what it is AI is like DEI. Because if you can get it done, because you mentioned when you talked about having somebody, building something or flying a plane or whatever, I'm brought back to, Charlie Kirk and that whole conversation about if you walk onto a flight and you see a black pilot, you have to wonder, are we safe? Is this the best of the best? Or did this guy get this job because of United's commitment to make half of their flight force African-American or female? Do I have the best of the best here? And so the same thing. Did this get produced? Did this work or this whatever get produced because of the checking and double checking and cross checking and so forth of human beings and their intellect? Or are we trusting that some computer got it right that maybe they didn't? That's a danger. That's like DEI.
Right. It's in many respects very, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been saying that for a while now. It is in many respects, or in some respects at least, like DEI. You're prioritizing the things that are not important. You want a certain product that actually produces what it's supposed to do. And DEI is simply, we can talk about that ad nauseum, and we have. But I'm concerned about ChatGPT. I've seen errors in ChatGPT when I've used it. It's a very helpful tool. At least it gets you started and maybe thinking and maybe going to the right resources. But if you rely on that for the ultimate result, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, Pete. All right, what do you say we dive into a couple of things here, especially since I created an AI graphic that said, "Hey, Pete is going to talk about things like Maduro." This is
by the way, Bob, I'm going to be doing my push-ups while we talk.
Lord, I don't need to have you stroking out during a live broadcast. No, Pete, this was a story this morning that as far as the decision, when the final decision was made to finally go get Nicolas Maduro, President Trump apparently was infuriated by Maduro's dancing and his taunting. And I have the video here somewhere, and I'm trying to pull it up real quick because I had it. Yeah, doggone it. I have so many links open. Yeah, here it is. Let me share this tab with you and with everybody else who's watching right now so you can see what the story is about. Pop that up here. There we go. Okay, and I'll enlarge it a little bit to make it a little bit easier to see there. But this reporting says Nicolas Maduro's dancing was the final straw for President Trump in his decision to capture the Venezuelan president, according to the New York Times. So this is what he's talking about. Now this, Pete, is being added into the defiant Maduro standing on that balcony and saying, "Come and get me," when okay, saying "Come and get me" when it was announced that there was a $50 million reward that was being offered by the FBI, by the federal government, for the arrest and the capture of Nicolas Maduro. That's when he basically defiantly said, "Come and get me." And then he went out there and, according to the New York Times and others who are observing this, if you look at the beginning of that dance he was doing there, it looks like he's kind of doing the signature Trump dance, and not in homage, but in mockery. So, Peter, give me your thoughts on because you are a constitutionally brilliant attorney. Give us your thoughts on the constitutionality of the arrest of Maduro, the legality of it, and the policy of it all. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think Trump is the FAFO president, FAFO.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's no doubt about that. You don't want to mess with Trump. I happen to like the guy. Yes, I'm generally disposed toward his policy positions and almost everything. This is what I voted for. This is exactly what I voted for. Bob, you still there?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, my screen went completely blank. I'm not sure what my problem is here, but our IP folks are going to have to, and here I am again. Okay.
Your IT folks suck. I just put
we've got like 9 of them or 10 of them up there on whatever floor it's on, 57. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to have a talk with them this afternoon.
I just threw this up here so people didn't have to see the black screen with just a circle on it that said PK.
I'm much better looking than that now, by the way. That was taken back during, Attorney General confirmation. That would have been Jeff Sessions' confirmation hearing. So that would have been right around 2015, 16. So it was about 10 years ago.
We'll go with it. It's got you and it's got your name on it, which is all I want people to see. So
yeah, with respect to the legality of it, I think that it is unquestionably legal. And I'm not the expert on this, but I play one on TV and I can read, and I've taught on this a little bit. I'm not, say, a Jonathan Turley or anyone like that, but the fact of the matter is that even if you've got just a couple of years of law school experience, or you read a little bit, you understand the history of this. And it's been done, or something like this, or some type of what appears to be a unilateral action, military action, has been done a number of times, including most recently. Clinton has done it. Biden has done it. Obama especially has done it. Obama had droned an entire wedding party, and they have killed Americans in the process. But that's not a problem when Democrats do it. The War Powers Resolution of 1873 completely allows the president to launch without securing congressional approval. You hear that all the time from the morons, excuse my language, I don't mean to be pejorative, but from the people on television, talking heads, and many of the Democrats that, he didn't notify Congress or get approval from Congress. Well, he doesn't need to. Under the law, he doesn't need to. He gets a minimum of 48 hours to conduct this type of operation. And then, if he needs further authorization, he gets 2 months. He gets 60 days in which to seek that authorization to legitimize. And this is not an ongoing operation, so he's not going to have to do that. So the founding fathers and many of our lawmakers that succeeded them understood a few things, that in the real world, you can't be pausing. Things are urgent. Things are to be timely, need to be executed immediately. And the long slog that you would have to go through with Congress, plus the possibility of leaks and other things that could compromise the operation, make it imperative that the chief executive officer of the United States, the guy who's charged with executing things, has the ability to do things without stopping for a moment, talking to people about it, getting approvals from it, securing those approvals, or, as you know, it could take forever and ever. So they understood that and authorized the president under 1873 War Powers Resolution to go ahead and do that, provided, he notifies Congress within 48 hours of what he did. And then he can continue to do that for another 60 days without seeking authorization from Congress to do that. So this has been done before. It's clearly set forth in the law. This is what not just the founding fathers, but successive administrations have envisioned and have authorized and have executed on their own. So there's no problem here.
What about the policy part of it, Pete? Do you agree with the decision to go get him? And what do you think the ultimate reason for the mission was and is? Because President Trump has been talking. I mean, he's been vaporizing narco terrorist boats from Venezuela in the Caribbean for months now. He's been talking very much about getting the scourge of fentanyl and all of these drugs off of our streets and so forth. So is it about the drugs? Or did he go after Maduro? Because Maduro basically runs the largest cartel in Venezuela, and he surges Tren de Aragua gang members into the United States and so forth. Or is it about oil? Or is it about a bigger picture of, strength? And when I say oil too, it's not necessarily to enrich the United States, but some who are saying it's an oil agenda here. It's basically to stop, some of our adversaries from accessing, Venezuelan oil and energy. So it strengthens our position in the hemisphere. So what do you think the real reason he decided to go after Maduro is right now? And is it because he made fun of his dance?
I hope it's because he made fun of his dance, because that would be awesome if that's the reason he did it. But I think it was all the reasons you mentioned, Bob, plus sending a message, not to Venezuela, but to China, Russia, Cuba, and all the other bad actors, Iran, all those folks who are using Venezuela as their little personal playground and also staging area for possible doing bad acts, such as flooding the United States with drugs. I think it was all those reasons, and he simply got fed up. You asked me what I agree with respect to the policy.
Yeah,
I think all Americans need to be cautious and reluctant about the use of force. A situation such as this is the kind of thing that can blow up. It could have long-term consequences. People of my age always think about Vietnam. If you break it, you own it. So there's all those concerns. Whenever you're going to invade a country, spirit out their purported leader, whether he's legitimate or not. That's a big deal, and you can't take it lightly. What I like about this president is, if he makes a decision, he's usually thought it out much better than his predecessors have. He has a sense of the real world that I think is better than most of his other predecessors. No disrespect to them, but he also, I think, is sending a message that you don't mess around with he is the FAFO president. You don't mess around with the United States of America. That's a salutary purpose right there all by itself. It lets Russia, China, and all the other bad actors know that, first of all, under the Monroe Doctrine, this is our hemisphere, okay? We're not acting as hegemons the way China is or tries to do in their regions, but you don't come into our hemisphere without our permission, okay? And I like that. I frankly like that. The Democrats like it only when we are supplicants to our enemies, only when we're bending the knee. No, I think we are the greatest nation in the history of the world and should exercise our authority as such. We should act as such, and the president is not shy about doing that. So anyway, I'm bloviating a lot, but you get the drift. I think this, from a policy perspective, sure, you have to pause, but I think the outcome speaks for itself. There could be downstream effects that we haven't anticipated, or at least the public at large hasn't anticipated. I'm sure that the president, along with all of his advisors, have thought about these because they've seen this movie, a similar movie in the past, where we intervene in a sphere that appears not to be in our interests, and things start to disassemble from there. Bob, I'm losing. I don't have your audio.
Okay, Pete, I don't know if can you hear me now, Peter? Okay, little tech glitch here. I don't know if it's going on Pete's end with this camera problem, if there's a speaker problem or a mic problem either, but I'm hoping he gets back on soon. Pete, can you hear me? Checking 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There, you're back now. You're back now.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I have no idea what's going on here. I don't have this problem when I've got other Zooms. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's why this isn't Zoom. This is Restream. That's why you got to get your guys on it and figure out how to connect that. Peter, I want to follow up on this as far as the reaction to it here. President Trump has somehow managed to make Democrats during a midterm election year defend a dictator. The people who ran around screaming "No kings" all summer long are advocating for the freeing of a dictator, a dictatorial, tyrannical, king essentially of Venezuela. Apparently, they are not watching the legions of Venezuelans in Caracas and around that country cheering and thanking God for the liberation from the oppression that they've been suffering. But also Venezuelans here in the United States who are screaming, thank you to President Trump. It's going to be huge in terms of the election. But Chris Murphy, Van Holland, Schumer, they're all the usual suspects are all condemning Trump's action and saying Maduro should not have been taken. And this, of course, is after Schumer last presidential term, as recently as 2020, Schumer was criticizing Trump during that election cycle for not having gotten Maduro in his first term, in Trump's first term. Now he's condemning him for getting him. But more than that, the protests here that are being attended by and supported by Democrats were organized by pro-communist groups. The pro-Maduro protesters who turned up in Times Square, according to the New York Post, which is what I'm reading from, and outside the Brooklyn lockup where he was being held, they were organized by a hard left-wing group called the People's Forum, which has close ties to China. The group, also behind anti-Israel demonstrations around the nation, called for, quote, emergency protests nationwide, shortly after Trump announced Saturday that forces had captured Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores. This war is not about drug trafficking. It's not about democracy. It's about stealing Venezuela's oil and dominating Latin America, said a People's Forum press release. One anti-Maduro protester who left Venezuela during Maduro's repressive regime called the pro-Maduro protesters fools, saying, quote, they know nothing about Maduro. I don't know why they are here. They are just strange and stupid. But the People's Forum admitted to receiving over $20 million from Neville Singham, who's an individual with well-documented ties to the CCP living in Shanghai. So imagine that. Chinese communists are mad that Trump arrested a Venezuelan communist, and American communists, including the new mayor of New York City, are none too happy about it. So what is your reaction to the reaction of Democrats and these far left, in fact, Marxist communist groups that are organizing and staging these protests, Pete?
My reaction is, frankly, almost astonishment, because Democrats are usually better at politics than Republicans are. Yet Trump derangement syndrome has so perverted their political senses that they don't understand the optics of this looks so horrible for them. And you, aside from, you have 700,000 Venezuelans here in the United States. They are going to be permanent Republicans in the main now. And when the Democrats continue to say, at least give the optics of opposing the arrest of this butcher and putting him up for trial. And let's not forget, the operation itself was one that I think inculcated incredible pride in a lot of people. On Saturday, I got a lot of emails from my old football buddies, some of my fellow attorneys, and others who were just raving about the fact that it was a Tom Clancy or Pete Kirsanow novel come to life. It was really, you got to give the credit to the Delta folks. I understand the Navy SEALs are trying to get, because they've got that rivalry there. They're trying to say, hey, we were involved too. But nonetheless, whoever was involved, everyone who planned this and those especially who executed, those guys who went into a foreign country, a very heavily armed compound. This is not some little backwards dictatorship. These guys had tons of money and resources and the backing, as you indicated, of Cuba. They had Cuba resources there, Cuban resources, and China and Russia also. And we just picked this guy out and just brought him to the United States. Stunning stuff. All those things inculcate pride, I think, in normal America. And again, I think the Democrats are making a huge political optical error by coming out so forthrightly against this. This is it from a sheer political perspective. It's stupidity. Now, the risk, of course, is as you indicated earlier, and that is that somehow we forget the lessons that the United States had to learn very painfully in the past, and we get mired in a place we don't want to be mired in. I don't think it's going to happen here, but that remains to be seen. I think that the dynamics are a lot different than, say, Vietnam or some place like Afghanistan where we got bogged down. And I think those are actually lessons that many in the leadership around President Trump, Pete Hegseth, and Stephen Miller and others, I think they understand that and want to avoid that. Trump himself, during the course of his 5 years so far as president, has shown that he's very, very, very sensitive to that kind of dynamic. He doesn't want to be mired into something. He doesn't want to repeat the mistakes of the past.
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate, Pete. I'm just disgusted by, I put something in the chat on the Rumble page this morning. I always have a descriptor of what's on the show today, including, you're promoting you. And what I put up here was the Democrat timeline of love. 9 months ago, they loved Ukrainian flags. 8 months ago, it was Palestinian flags. 7 months ago, it was Mexican flags. 6 months ago, it was Iranian flags. And 1 week ago, it was Somalia flags. Now today, it's Venezuelan flags. Is there ever a time where they actually like the United States of America rather than our adversaries or countries that are not necessarily out for our best interest? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. And I think, again, the optics of it, usually they're more savvy than this. They understand, if anything, they understand imagery. Yeah, because they don't have any policy substance that's worth talking about, frankly. But nonetheless, I'm stunned that they're going down this rabbit hole. Trump derangement syndrome makes them do politically stupid things. And I'm happy for that. But for the nation as a whole, it's better to have a sane opposition party that can work with the majority party to come up with solutions for the American people.
Yeah, no question about it. Peter, let's pivot to the Somalis, because you weren't able to come on with us last week for a variety of reasons. So most of the news that broke that has been taken over the country and the internet in particular, we have not yet talked about. I haven't gotten your take on this. So you've seen and watched the exposure, or the expose, I guess I should call it, of the Somali fraud schemes in Minnesota. Come to find out, they are just as deep and as extensive here in the state of Ohio, particularly because of the massive Somali community in Columbus. And we had this story on a little bit earlier today. Turns out some 40 different daycare centers opened up on the very same day under the same parent umbrella company, which was a Somali-run company. And they all opened up on the same day, and they collected over $14 million in taxpayer dollars from Ohioans and from Americans, because these are federal, state, funded programs. They collected over $14 million just in 2024 alone. You've seen the videos, you've heard the comments from the independent journalists who are trying to expose all of this stuff. And it's not just daycares, but that just happens to be the tip of the spear right now. But Medicaid fraud, food fraud, transportation fraud, home health care fraud, all of these things are being done and committed in massive numbers by, allegedly, or according to early reporting from people, the Somali communities. Peter, what can be done not only with them from a legal perspective, and number two, what should be done from a legal and or political perspective to the people on whose watch all of this fraud has been occurring?
Yeah, well, first of all, the people who actually executed it, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, obviously. This is not something, it's, we've heard the figures and they're stunning. The amount of fraud is just almost incomprehensible, which means that there must have been many people who are in responsible positions who are either complicit or just almost mind-boggling incompetent. Either way, we have to find out who those folks are. I think it's pretty plain who they were in Minnesota and a few other places, and they need to be held to account, either criminally or from the standpoint of politicians politically. They need to be jettisoned immediately. Ilhan Omar appears to be probably maybe the ringleader of all this. I mean, somebody has to ask how Ilhan Omar, who we've seen and we've talked about, Bob, as maybe one of the most anti-American, and that's saying something, one of the most anti-American Congress people around, went from I think it was 2019, just a scant 6-7 years ago, a net worth of $25,000 to now she has a net worth of $9 million.
Whoa, 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 Pete. I fear your numbers are woefully out of date.
Maybe they are.
Ilhan Omar is now reported in many, many places to be worth over $35 million. She was worth when she came into this country and it came into Congress, she was worth, according to, again, what I had read, around $65,000. And in the less than 6 years she's been here, she is now worth over 30. It was not 35. It was 65 and 30, over $30 million.
Yeah, you're right about that. I was looking at some stats I had. That she was worth $25,000. Either way, she's had an almost impossible increase in her net worth that people have to wonder, how did she do that? Because all of her income came from Congress. What happened? I mean, she has a husband that she recently married just a few years ago who was a congressional aide. These folks don't make huge sums of money. And there's no indication that, she's some type of a tech whiz or mogul. She's not a, Bill Gates in waiting. So that really needs to be studied. And going to your other point, Bob, one of the reasons it's not, and I hate the, frankly, pusillanimous Congress, many of whom are Republicans, who are scared to death of investigating a black female congressman. And Omar and her ilk understand that implicitly, and they use it as a shield and use it to allow them to get away with a lot of stuff because they know that they can cow people who would otherwise ask the appropriate questions. How did you become so rich? How did this happen? Especially under congressional salary. What did you do? What investments did you have? Let's take a look at it. Bob, I'm a lowly civil rights commissioner, and I just got finished doing my disclosure. I have to do financial disclosure statements. They rankle the heck out of me because I don't have any policy control. I cannot effectuate any kind of legislation. I can't do anything to affect the lives of the American people, but I've got to disclose tons and tons of information. Why is it that Ilhan Omar can accumulate all this money and nobody's asking, how did this happen? What did you do? It's pretty clear something is going on there that merits an investigation. Someone needs to investigate her, Tim Walz, and all the players up there in Minnesota, the DFL, the Democratic Farm Labor Party, that seems to have its fingers everywhere with respect to this. This is a massive fraud that I think, as you've indicated, I've understood that we've got some of these same situations here in Ohio, and whenever you find a population of Somalis, that should be a trigger right there. This is not, you ask the question, for example, why is this racist? No, it's not. It's the Willie Sutton theory of politics. When they asked Willie Sutton, the bank robber, why do you rob banks? And he goes, that's where the money is, right? Well, if you already have a significant indication that there's been massive Somali fraud, especially in democratic jurisdictions, but not exclusively so, then maybe you should take a look at it. But again, Democrats, the media, but I repeat myself and others, understand that they can use race as a shield against legitimate inquiry.
That's why Tim Walz, when he announced he was leaving or was not running for re-election, and Trump thinks he may not even finish his term, he may be out, but that's why he refused to actually condemn the Somalis who were responsible. He admitted he said, after years of fraud taking place by a criminal organization here in Minnesota, Trump's fault. They're attacking our neighbors. He won't identify the nature of the criminal organization that he said is responsible for years of fraud in Minnesota, because it's a Somali group and they're black. They're African. They're Somali, for crying out loud. So he won't attack or condemn or criticize or hold to account anybody if it's going to harm their identity politics, agenda. So he's terrified of pointing out that happens to be from Somalia. And I've said this before, I don't care who's committing fraud on this scale. They could be Nordic countries, and they could be whiter than the snow they live in. I don't give a crap. I care about the fact that billions of dollars are being stolen. And Ilhan Omar is one of the worst thieves in maybe American political history, probably headed up by Nancy Pelosi through what most people understand to be her, insider trading and becoming a multi-millionaire many times over with extraordinary stock returns. But Ilhan Omar, well, I'm going to play this, Pete, since you and I were discussing it. You can see this is Harris Faulkner on Fox giving a report here. So let me share this with you and everybody else about those dollars that Ilhan Omar has acquired.
Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as...
Sorry, hold on. Got to get the volume up here. It's a little bit wonky. There we go. Let's try it again.
Suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds.
This scandal is going to rock the core of Minnesota politics and American politics. We are going to be able to show through whether it be willful blindness, whether it be deliberately turning the other way, or whether it be direct knowledge, we are going to show how Democrat politicians, Democrat bureaucracies, Democrat political systems, and the Somali refugee population ripped off the American people, stole countless taxpayer dollars, and engaged in scams that boggle the mind, scams that we can scarcely even conceive of or imagine in their brazenness. This truly underscores the extent to which the Democrat Party has used migration as a weapon against the American people to gain political power at the expense of American citizens, stealing their money, stealing their votes, stealing their sovereignty. This is going to be case in point for the argument that President Trump has made about why we must stop mass third-world migration into this country. It is a tool the Democrat Party has used to rob the American people blind.
Okay, I was a little bit misled on the content of that video, so my apologies for that. But what I was pointing out here was her net worth, which we were talking about, and it is in multiple reports of this. $67,000. I've seen $65,000 in 2019 to over $30 million in 2025. And again, these are repeated in many different places. Benny Johnson got on this too. He says, or actually Eric Doherty said, President Trump posted proof that her net worth was over $30 million. So Pete, not to beat this into the ground, let me drop off that screen share for a moment here. Yeah, not to beat this into the ground, Peter, but the reality of the situation here is that Ilhan Omar is the head of this ring of stealing American dollars. And worse yet, it's not just for their own personal gain. They're sending the money to Somalia, and they are saying it brazenly and openly. Earlier on in the first hour of today's live stream, Pete, I played Ismail Mohammed, the Ohio. I didn't know we had a Muslim Somalian member of the Ohio legislature, but we do. State Rep Ismail. Are you familiar with him at all?
Not at all. No.
Ismail Mohammed is a state representative from a district in Columbus. He's Somalian, and he was on Somalian national television telling the folks back there what they are doing here, which is getting more and more of them elected so that they can advocate for and promote and advantage Somalia and Somalian needs and concerns so that they can go back and live there. This is their people and this is who they want to help. So they're here. Ilhan Omar has said something almost identical in Somali, translated on screen.
Right.
She has said the same thing about wanting to live back in her, where her people are. So the point is they're here, they're enriching themselves by way of what we just discussed, the 30 million for Ilhan Omar. But so many of these other fraudsters are buying luxury cars and they're living lavish lifestyles, but they're saving money and sending money back to Somalia so they can make Somalia like the United States so they can go and live there. So it's so much bigger than just personal greed and enrichment, Pete. They're actively here undermining American interests to promote for a foreign country's interests.
Right. In addition to that, there's been reporting that a significant amount of money purportedly has been directed to terrorist organizations in Somalia. So this has not just financial implications, political implications. This has national security implications. This is extraordinary from a number of perspectives. I think Republicans, frankly, all due respect, have not been aggressive enough in pursuing this. Because as I say, this is not merely fraud. This has national security implications. And as usual, Democrats are using race as a shield. You can't criticize her because she is black. It must be racism. That's why Republicans are doing this. No, we're doing it because this is titanic fraud right in front of our faces. Just siphoning off tens of millions of dollars that's supposed to go for purportedly good causes, but nope, it's going to these organizations. And Republicans, Trump is one of the few folks who is not cowed by allegations of racism. And Republicans need to abandon that fear that they've held for decades now that they're going to be called racist, because it's the no pun intended, Trump card that the Democrats have habitually resorted to silence any kind of inquiry into questionable activities or to silence Republicans generally. So, we've seen this in Ohio, and it's right now we see it among these daycare programs. But there's more and more evidence coming out that many other welfare-related programs in different states are being exploited like this, not just by Somalis, but by a lot of other groups. And when you have situations like this, California has already kind of made the pronouncement along with other states that, well, this is the cost of doing business. No, it's not. It's not the cost of doing business. You try doing this in business activities, you're going to jail. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No one's going to tolerate this. You don't steal on that basis, and accounting mechanisms are in place to make sure you don't. But when it comes to the federal government, where billions of dollars are floating all over the place, well, you can steal a few hundred million here, a few hundred million there, and if you have the shield of race to protect you against inquiry, you're home free. It's really, I hope they really go after this. And again, it's my hope, and if anyone asks me, I hope Republicans aren't afraid, as they usually are, of being proclaimed racist for doing their jobs.
Yeah, well, Barack Obama built an entire presidency on that.
Yeah.
I mean, he used his darker skin as a shield. It's like a coat of armor. You cannot do anything to him or else you're a racist. It just bings, all of the slings and arrows that were to strike him. You can't do that because he's black. And he still is untouchable to this day. I don't care what he did to Obamacare. I don't care what he did to healthcare for the American people. You can't bring it up or else you're still a racist. And that's just the reality of it. And
absolutely. And, my understanding is, first of all, I think Barack Obama is one of the most pernicious influences in American politics in at least half a century. And we can spend 55 programs just detailing all the reasons why, but he's held up as some kind of an icon, only because of race. Mahek Cook, I think, was on your program, Bob, or on some program. I know you're aware of this. I saw her somewhere.
She's exposing a lot of this Somali fraud, too.
Right. And I understand she said something like the home health care aides, like $250,000 per family is being siphoned off from the home health care work. No work is being done whatsoever. Nobody shows up to do this stuff. Who's getting that money? How's it happening? Why aren't accounting systems in place if this is in fact true? So we already know that, I think our governor's come out to say there may be some problems here. Well, I don't want to hear that. I want to see a number of investigators appointed to this, making sure that they root out all of the fraud. Those are my tax. That's real money, Bob. Those are my tax dollars.
Yes.
Being spent on things that don't have any merit whatsoever, but more importantly, in a fraudulent, possibly criminal endeavor.
Okay, Peter, I'm trying to share something with you, but my computer screen is frozen up for a minute here. I don't know exactly why. I think your IT guys did it. Yeah, I'm blaming your IT guys on my screen freezing up right now. So I might not be able to pull this up to read the quotes that I wanted to read. Actually, you know what I can do on my computer for whatever reason is doing this is I can pull it up on my phone, because I want to read just a couple of the facts before I ask you to comment on the Hilton Hotel story. This is yeah, it's a serious issue, Peter. Hilton, this is a consumersresearch.org article. Hilton Hotels just declared itself anti-law enforcement. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says Hilton refused hotel rooms to Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents in Minneapolis. Shocking. Canceling their reservations after learning they were federal immigration officers. Quote, after further investigation online, we have found immigration work connected with your name, and we will be canceling your upcoming reservation, end quote. That was from a Hilton employee email obtained by DHS. DHS blasted Hilton's actions as unacceptable and accused the hotel chain of undermining federal law enforcement. ICE officials confirmed multiple reservations were blocked when agents booked rooms through official government channels. In a tweet, the Department of Homeland Security, let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit on my tiny little phone screen. In a tweet, Homeland Security wrote, "No room at the inn." At Hilton Hotels has launched a coordinated campaign in Minneapolis to refuse service to DHS law enforcement. This is unacceptable. Why is Hilton Hotels siding with murderers and rapists to deliberately undermine and impede DHS law enforcement from their mission to enforce our nation's immigration laws? All right, Pete, take that and do what you will with it. I see a Bud Light scenario on steroids here, but the thing is, Bud Light is, it's an everyday thing that's much more easy to boycott if you did want to do such things. We're talking about a hotel chain here. What can be done, in your opinion?
Well, I think you do. You give them the Bud Light treatment. What I did is Bob, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me again.
Now I can hear you.
Your IT guys are fired. That's it.
You went out again, Bob.
If you can hear me,
There
Pete.
you
You need.
Yeah.
Are you still using an Atari? Is that what you're using for your?
This is the most sophisticated equipment imaginable here that we have. It's amazing. But in any event,
Oh my God! All right, go ahead.
yeah, when I read that yesterday, infuriated, I immediately contacted my assistant in Washington. I said, don't book. And I may have been one hotel franchisee, one employee, could have been all of those things. But I was infuriated, and I said, don't book me to any Hilton hotel. Sorry, Bob. It looks like we're having difficulty again.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I got you, Pete. All right, we may have to just pull the plug here because Peter's coming in and out and all over the place here. So, in fact, it's dropped off completely now. So, yeah, that may be for the best. All right, now he's back in now. He wants to give it one more shot. So let's see what happens here. Okay, Pete, you're back. Such as it is, go ahead.
Yeah, well, what I was saying, why I thought that the mic was on, is that when I read this yesterday, I immediately contacted my assistant in Washington and I said, don't book me to any more Hilton hotels or any of their brands. And they've got about 7 or 8 different brands. Now, this is the action of one hotel, maybe one individual, who knows, and I don't care, frankly. I don't care. I think that messages need to be sent from time to time, and there have to be repercussions, even if it's not an individual franchisee's fault, because there are a number of brands, as I indicated. At times, messages need to be sent, and this kind of corporate virtue signaling that a lot of corporations tend to get involved in. We saw it with Bud Light, and we saw it with some others. I think, they have to understand that there is such a thing as the silent majority, as they used to say, but out here, they go about their ordinary lives. They're not out there in the process of trying to make political statements with every act. And they just want, to be treated fairly. And that goes for Department of Homeland Security individuals. You bet that Hilton Hotels or any other hotel chain would not do this for a politically correct organization or an organization on the left. They would never do that. And that's because those organizations would go absolutely crap crazy, and they've got the assistance of the media to spread their message that that particular entity is racist, sexist, homophobic, or any other phrase that you want to use. So I think it's imperative that ordinary Americans, conservative Americans especially, go out there and make their voices known by virtue of their displeasure, whether it's boycott or simply sending letters, whatever it might be. Sometimes I think we should adopt some of the tactics of the left, which have proven to be very effective for the last 50 years, because we sometimes do very stupid things because the left pressures us to do so. So I think in this particular case, it makes sense. If they're not going to harbor Department of Homeland Security folks, ICE folks, fine. They're not going to harbor me. They're not going to get my dollars, and I can spend my dollars elsewhere. And that's a lesson not just for the Hilton hotel chain, but for every other public accommodation out there. Every single one. It just makes me furious to see that they did this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you said there's a chance that maybe it's just one, employee, kind of an outlier who did something like this. Then Hilton needs to say that this person has been fired, that this is not the policy of Hilton Hotels or any of our other brands. ICE is welcome. Every federal agent, every government official, along with everybody, is welcome. We will not discriminate based on employment status or politics or anything else. They need to do that. Because look, after Charlie Kirk was murdered, a whole bunch of people said really, really horrific things about him. Most of them, I think the predominant number of them were in academia, were in education, either at the K through 12 or at the collegiate level. And districts were quick to say, that person's gone. That teacher's gone, that counselor's gone, that coach is gone, that professor's gone, that adjunct faculty, whatever. They're all gone because that's not who we are. This is a horrible thing. And that's what needs to be done here as well. And I think any organization, if you've got a rogue employee doing something that brings shame or disrepute or whatever to your organization, you need to let everybody know that. If you don't, if you back this person, if you, in any way, or if you just stay silent, then you know what, everything you just said, Pete, it should be fair game. There should be a massive pushback and backlash from the American people against that particular chain. All right, Pete. We suffered through it. We got through a bunch of audio glitches and video glitches. I don't even get the circle with your, the outline of your head on it anymore that said PK, which is how we started.
I might do this from home next week.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I know you're doing Zoom calls.
I'm talking to our IT folks immediately.
Yeah, Zoom and Restream apparently are a little bit different because it's just not connected for us. But fortunately, your words
Bob,
do connect.
Congratulations, though, on this program. Congratulations on this program, which is outstanding. And also, I have said it before, and I'm not getting paid to say this, but strictly speaking, your newsletter is by far the best publication for people who are interested in politics, culture, what have you. I've told you, Bob, and that's not just because we're friends. I'm amazed every time I get it. I really am, because I read tons of publications, and it's a very good digest for anyone who wants to be in the know. It's not just good information, but it's good analysis.
Well, thank you, Peter. I appreciate that too. And is there one R or two in Kursanov for that check?
Send cash.
I appreciate you, my friend. No, I want your push-ups. I'll get you cash. I'll get you cash when I see your penance for your.
Hey, we can do it on video. So people who don't think I can do 500 push-ups, I do them in sets of 50. Okay, 10 sets of 50. Do 50. Pause for 30 seconds. 50 more.
They better be more than a little. They better be more than little shallow elbow bends. You better be military touching.
No. These are Marine push-ups.
There you go. That's what I wanted to hear. Peter, thank you, my friend. God bless.
Take care, Bob.
All right. That's Peter Kursanov. And, Yeah, Pete's fantastic. His audio equipment and folks, not so much. He uses Zoom, he says, for all of his teleconferences and things like that. So he said, no, my camera's fine. But this is twice now. He's tried to connect on Restream and he doesn't or they don't know how to push the right buttons and make the connection. So but Pete is great. Somebody, Sarah in the chat room, asked if we could have Pete on later this week just because of all of the glitches and things that happen. And unfortunately, we cannot because we are booked up this week. If you did not see this a little bit earlier, let me throw it up on the screen. Pete was today, and here is the rest of the week. Tomorrow, I've got Congressman Jim Jordan, who's going to be on with us at about 8:30 tomorrow. On Thursday, let me drop off the cursor I'll mention there real quick. There you go. On Thursday, we're going to have J.R. Majewski, who's a former congressional candidate in the 9th, lost to Marcy Kaptur. We all remember what happened with J.R. Great guy. He's got an enormous conservative following online, and we need to tap into his insights. That'll be on Thursday, as I said. Then Friday, Congressman Max Miller for the first time on the podcast, as well as we're going to get to know Casey Putsch. And I double-checked with his people. That's the correct pronunciation of P-U-T-S-C-H, Putsch, like Hutch. Casey Putsch is running for governor. He has taken some big-time shots at Vivek Ramaswamy. Some say he's legitimately a true America First patriot who wants to make Ohio better. Some people say, nope, he's here to split the Republican vote and hand the election to Democrat Amy Acton. I don't know what's what. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. I've only read a few of his posts. But Casey Putsch is going to be joining us to talk about, for a full hour on Friday, to talk about his campaign for governor. And we'll find out what his ideas are for the state of Ohio, or if he is just kind of here to be a thorn in the side, if you will, of Vivek Ramaswamy. So that's what the rest of the week looks like. So it's going to be very, very busy, and I'm very, very excited about it, to be 100% honest with you. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to remind everybody that's viewing right now, it looks like there's around 175 people or so. There's only 40-some thumbs up. Every time you walk in the room, whether it's a live stream like this or one of the videos on the channel, please, if you're watching one of the videos, go down to the thumb, click the thumbs up. The algorithms like engagement. Thumbs up, commenting, and then, of course, following and subscribing to the channel. That's the key to making us grow, okay? We're on the road to 10,000. We have about 1,200. So we've got, again, and my friend Brian put it a really good way the other day. When I keep saying that the show is still in its infancy, we're not even infant. The show's not hardly been born. It's like barely a zygote right now was the angle or the analogy that he used. And I think that's true. But we're going to grow first with grassroots efforts from you and me, then through organic algorithmic pushes. But we've got to make the grassroots thing happen. Think of it as a door knocking campaign. If there's a candidate that you like and you're willing to go to your neighbors and say, hey, can we talk about the upcoming election? This person is for council, this person for Congress, and what have you. That's what you need to do. Do some digital door knocking. Send this show. When the show's over, it's going to propagate into the channel's list of videos. You right-click it, copy link address, and then paste that into an email or a text message or whatever to everybody you know that's a conservative-minded individual that cares about this country. Tell them it's a great follow. Click like, subscribe, follow, and subscribe to all of those people. We'll get our grassroots engagement first. That will lead to the organic algorithmic engagement. So thank you, chatters, and please keep hitting that Rumble Rants button at the bottom of the screen if you can. It's the only way we're going to be able to keep this program going as long as we want. Thanks for adjusting to the new schedule. We started out for the first 3 weeks from 10 to noon. Now other obligations intrude, so we moved it up to 7 to 9. It's a little early for some, but if you are watching it at any time of the day, that's the beauty about it. You can see us live from 7 to 9, but you can watch us and share it anytime throughout the day as well. That is going to do it. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. To everybody, thanks to Peter Kirsanow and to everybody who joined in the chat room especially, and most especially to everybody who is financially supporting the program. This is a Patriot-funded program, not a corporate program, and that means we need you. Thank you, everybody. Be well, be safe, and stay free. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock sharp, right here on Strictly Speaking Unfiltered.